The Mets just never were interested in giving Pete Alonso a long-term extension, just like every other significant Met in the history of this franchise, with the exception of David Wright. This long-term Met will go elsewhere. So, where do the Mets go from here, and how do they replace Pete Alonso's bat? Three words: follow the Braves. If the Mets just followed those three simple words over the last 30 years, they would have been a lot better off. The Braves had a very similar situation back a few years ago, and a franchise icon, Freddie Freeman, a Met killer, they, for whatever reason, just didn't want to give him the long-term deal he was looking for. He leaves in a very sad situation. He goes to the Dodgers. What do? They pivot. Where do they pivot? To a team that has had a lot of success making really poor decisions, the Athletics. That's where the Mets need to turn. The Braves go to the A's. They go get Matt Olson. He hit a franchise record 54 home runs in 2023. They were off to the races. They give him the long-term deal. I think the Mets can do something very similar in this very dire situation. The A's have two very interesting players I would be interested in if I were David Stearns. Tyler Soderstrom, the first baseman, and Brent Rooker, a corner outfielder / DH. Rooker's older. He's a little more experienced. He's on a very team-friendly deal, whereas Soderstrom, a young player who broke out last year, all-star caliber seasons from both. I think both would be really good Mets. And yes, their numbers will decline going out of Sacramento to Spacious City Field, but hey, they're not going to get 45 home runs from a first baseman. They're going to have to decline this some way. I think these would be two really good options. Soderstrom for first base, Rooker for a corner outfield / DH position. So what would the Mets have to give up here? Well, remember, the A's had a very crowded situation with first base, corner outfield, DH. When Nick Kurtz came up, he's clearly the future of their entire team, a megastar who hit 4 home runs in a game. So I think this comes down to they have a surplus of corner first base guys. The Mets have some young pitchers who, while they'd like to keep, you have to give up something to get something. So I wonder if a Jonah Tong, a Brandon Sproat, somebody like that could interest the Athletics, a guy they could put into their rotation right away. A guy who they'd love to take out of their rotation right away is former Met Luis Severino, as you see right here, right? He had an awful year in Sacramento. He complained about the pitching situation there. He had a really poor ERA at home specifically. Would the Mets say, we'll take on that contract, bring Severino back to New York in exchange for lightening the prospect load in a Soderstrom or Rooker swap?